Hi everybody, my name is Renee Bior from Be Your Bookkeeper, and I'd like to show you today how to use the deposit feature on your invoices for customers. Now, it sounds a little confusing because when I say deposit, you might think just a deposit into your bank account. That's not what I'm really talking about. I'm talking about like retainers. If you ever take a deposit from a customer toward services either going to happen or already have happened, or services or products that you're going to purchase or make for somebody, then that's what I'm talking about. So first off, you want to check to see if QuickBooks Online is set up to show the deposit field on your invoice. And how you do that is you go to this gear box on the top here, and then you go to Accounts and Settings, and then go to Sales. And right here, Sales Form Content, you click on that, and you'll see that if it is going to show on your invoice, then this would be checked off the deposit area. So if you uncheck it, it won't show. If you check it, it will, and just save it. And then we're going to press Done and go to a customer and do a deposit. So I'm going to show you two ways that you would want to do a deposit. And right now I'm showing you the cash method for deposit. So if you record on your taxes as cash accounting type or accounting method, then you would want to use this deposit feature. If you are an accrual accounting method on your tax forms, then you would want not to show this or to use this deposit feature. And the reason is just the way it records on the income statement or not. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to an invoice. Then again, this is for cash method only. We've added the deposit field to our invoice. So you're going to see it on the bottom right before the balance due. So if someone comes to you and says, yes, I want to give you 50% deposit, then you can say, okay. And again, you might not know this, but you can do the math in a field. So let's say you go, okay, I need half of the balance due, and that amount is $649. So you actually can do the math there. And how I did that again was I took the amount 1298 divided by 2 and found an amount. And then that made the deposit due different. Once you enter an amount into the deposit and press enter or tab, it will then show a payment method on top here. As you can see, payment method and deposit too. So you're going to just show how did they pay. Not that way. Check. And then, the number, and then where you're going to put that money for right now. So right now, I know that I'm going to go to the bank with multiple checks and deposit all those checks all at once. So for right now, I'm going to put it in an undeposited funds. If I was to just take a picture of this and, of the check right as I get it and deposit it individually into my bank account, then I would choose the bank account right now. Okay, but I'm not doing that. Okay, so there we go. We got the payment for $649. It's a check for number 1,000, and we're putting it into undeposited funds for right now until we actually go to the bank. And we're all set. So save and close. So the question would be, where does that money go? How do I see it on the profit and loss? And the funny thing about QuickBooks Online is when you use that deposit, it divvies it out. So if you have some items that are taxable, or if you have multiple items, it's going to take the percentage of that item plus the tax related to that percentage and divvy it out on your deposit. So pretty much since it's 50%, it just does half of the tax. Yeah. So we're going to see that on our profit and loss. And how we're going to do that is we're going to go to the profit and loss. And then we're going to set the dates for exactly when that payment was, just to help you see what's happening with that deposit. And we're going to make it cash because we're only doing this for cash method. And you can see it right here. So we did a lot. It was more than $605, right? For the deposit, it was like $649. So where did that other amount go? So it's divvying out by sales item, and then the rest of it went to sales tax. So of course it's not going to be on the profit and loss because sales tax is a payable, which means it's on a balance sheet. So let's go look at that. And again, cash. So let's look at the sales tax line. Where did that go? There you go. Not seeing it. I'm going to go here and just see where it went. Where did it go? Okay, so it must have gone somewhere here. That must be it. There it is. So the taxable income was $425. Seems kind of weird though. No, that's different. Sorry. So right down here. That makes sense. So it looks like, no, because this is accrual. That's why. Oh, hang on. Let's go back. Gotcha. Okay, so the amount was $550, and the actual tax taken out was $44, and so that total taxable amount. So some of it was not taxable, obviously. So that should have made up the difference for the amount that we weren't seeing on the income statement. So hopefully that helps you. I think the deposit line is great for people who only take one deposit and they take it right when they run an invoice for the customer. Because the reality is if you're running an invoice in August and then processing a deposit in September, then you're going to be off. I mean, your reports are going to be off. Your income's going to be off for that month, especially if you run into a different year. It's going to be not a good idea. You would need to change your invoice date to be that month or year. So just think of that. I mean, it's not a big deal within a month, but if it crosses a year and the amount of the deposit is large, then it could be a bit of a problem. Other than that, so it's good for someone who's cash basis. It's good for someone who does an invoice and gets the 50% right when they're cutting that invoice because of the dates being the same as the actual deposit. So those two factors are important. The other way of doing this is accrual basis, and let me just show you what that looks like. First, you're going to need to make sure you have, one, that deposit field turned off now. You don't want to be using that when you're accrual because it records it on your, it records it wrong on your profit and loss. So we're going to get rid of that. The other thing is you're going to want to have a sales item that says deposit and goes to a liability account. So I already have one. I'm just going to show you you would just add new, but let's edit and see what this looks like. So it's just deposit, and you're going to have a other current liability customer deposit set up, and you can't set it up here, so you have to set it up on the chart of account. So let's go to the chart of account and go to customer, and edit. So when you press new, it's going to bring up this screen. You're going to go to other current liabilities, customer deposit is fine, and then just save and close. That's how you would create a customer deposit, and then you would just want to then link it to a new service item. So we got a service type, and then when you press that, it's going to bring you to this screen. So service, you can change it here too. So deposit name, and then deposit, customer deposit is the account you want to apply it to. So how do you use it in an invoice? Well, you don't use an invoice for accrual. And the reason is when you use invoices, it's telling your profit and loss that you have done the service already and that you are waiting accounts receivable you're waiting for your customer to pay you. And deposits aren't really like that. Deposits or retainers are really before the service has been done. That's what a deposit really is. So you would instead use a sales receipt. And let me just show you how you would do that. I actually have already created one, but let's do a new one. So you're doing a sales receipt, and the reason is, one, it accounts for the payment right in the receipt. So you have the payment line here. And then you have already created the chart of accounts and the sales item. So now you can use the sales item. And you can, what I normally do, if I'm doing estimates for somebody, say estimate, or for estimate, blah, 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 one. And then the amount that they're paying, not taxable, because your sales items are the ones that are taxable, not the deposit. And then how they paid and where you're putting the money. And if you're depositing it with multiple, then you would want to do undeposited funds. Okay, save and close. Okay, so you have that, you have the deposit. Now what you need to do is once you've actually done the service or enough to invoice somebody, then you would create an invoice, which we already have one here. And then you would apply the deposit to the invoice. And something that might help you on this is sometimes you would forget, oh, I can't see here that, they have a deposit. What might help you in realizing that they have a deposit, one is that all sales receipts are deposits. Maybe that would help you. You could also change some things that might help you is you could change the name of sales receipt to deposits if that's really the case. If you're only taking deposits with sales receipts, then you could change that name. Let's see what that is. Show you where to go to do that. It's interesting. Let's go back. Because this is a sample company. It doesn't do everything I want it to do. So let's see. So you could change like, not invoice, but the sales receipt name. So let's go. Customize. Oh, see, it doesn't edit. You can't edit it. But if you were to go to edit, you could actually change the name to deposit if you wanted to. So it'll make it really obvious. The only thing that it won't do is tell you whether or not it's been applied. It's not linked in that way. So what you could do is just remember is, yeah, you're not going to be able to do it that way, but you can just put deposit and then take out. And I like to put notes as to like what it was for, or maybe there was an estimate number. And no sales tax, and that's it. Save and close. So what happens in the system when you do that for accrual basis is that the balance sheet, that balance sheet item, customer account. Let's look at that. Well, let's look at the chart of accounts actually. You go to the chart of accounts and you go to customer deposit and view the register. You will see an in and an out. So it looks like we have more deposits here. You have 2 sales receipts. Looks like we haven't applied one of them. So you could go, oh, okay, I haven't applied that one. Oh, there you go. So you could just apply it. I like to also tell people not just like what sales receipt it was from. Not the estimate. Save, close. So you see the ins and the outs. Now, what it's also doing is it's applying it to income. Because what happens in accrual is that when you record an invoice, it automatically goes to income. So, which is good. So you don't have to worry about that. So let's look at what that means on the chart of accounts again. It's probably in one of these, but just one report. Actually, let's do a profit and loss. Help you more see everything. So we're in accrual, and so you'll see the total expenses, and you don't see, what's good about this is you just see the invoice. You don't see the deposit. The deposit has only to do with accrual in the bank account. So with liability in the bank account. So you don't have to worry about your income changing. It's really just, it just affects the balance sheet. So, which is good. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. What I covered here was just using the deposit feature only for cash, and then using a deposit sales item for accrual and how it affects your balance sheet and or your profit and loss. Thank you. Have a good day.